everyone, I'm Allie with PotomacBeads, and in today's Better Beader, we're going to go over kind of the classic shapes and the definition of the shapes of different beads. Some of these may be gemstones, glass, check glass, come in, resin, all kinds of different, but I wanted to go over the shapes and what to expect and what you're looking for, especially if a pattern calls for a different shape and you're not familiar with it. So we're going to take a look at across the board some different materials, some different mediums, and what the different shapes may be, and generally what sizes they come in. We're going to begin by looking at plain rounds. So we have rounds that are going to be smooth round or drunk, may be the kind of check term for them. And then we also have the faceted or kind of fire polished rounds. The fire polishing is going to be referring to a technique. The faceting is what we're going to concentrate on. So you have smooth rounds that literally are going to be smooth. Some patterns might call for drucks, which are also going to be smooth round too in that check world. These can come in gemstones, they can come in check glass, but you're either going to have smooth or faceted. Generally speaking, most beads, especially gemstones, are going to come in even millimeters. So you're either going to get 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, etc. Some of the check strands will also come in 3s and sometimes some 5s, but generally speaking, once you get above 4, it's very unusual to see a size of a round that's going to be on the odd count, not those evens 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So if you do have a pattern, think about generally that you're going to go down a size rather than up a size to accommodate. So if it's calling for a 5 millimeter, check out a 4 and put a little bead on each side of it. Or if it's calling for a 7, check out a 6 millimeter as well. In addition to the rounds, there's a couple different drops that you may come in contact with. Here's a fire polish drop just to show you that alexandrite color. And in this case, the drop is going straight down through the middle. Sometimes there's teardrops or there's daggers as well, which are going to have holes going in different direction. So here I have the small check daggers just to show you, which is also a drop, but the hole is going to be kind of at the top there. So you also will have briolets, which are going to be referred to as drops. Sometimes there's flat briolets, and sometimes these are centered drops, or they're called teardrops or faceted drops. You want to look at pictures when you're looking at briolets or drops, because sometimes different manufacturers or different gemstones or different check providers are going to list them as either straight drops or faceted briolets or drops or side cut drops. There's all kinds of different things. And then when it comes to the daggers or even the Miyuki drops as well, you're going to want to look at the picture and see which way it's referring to that drop, or in this case, usually the briolet. There's also a flattened briolet. This one's a round briolet. Which way the hole is going through. So generally speaking, most of the time you're saying briolet, it should refer to that top drill going through, like this yellow banded or this lemon banded agate. It should refer to the top going through of that versus a straight through. Most of the time that's going to be referred to as a briolet. And then again, there's the daggers, which are also going to hang down like a drop. And there's a variety of other shapes. Check comes in leaves, as well as the different drops. I even brought some here that sometimes the hole is just going to go right through the top as well and just be a little top hole there. So you have the different shapes of drops that you'll also encounter. And when it comes to drops, more so than I think any shape, you really want to look at the picture. In addition to that, there's the questions a lot of the different chips or sticks or nuggets. Generally speaking, you're going to start out with chips as being the smallest. Then we're going to go into, some people will refer to them as teeth or as daggers, or in this case here, sticks is what we refer to them as. So there's a number of different shapes that are going to kind of be called that as well. Here I also have some nuggets to show you. So there's different shapes, and I think it's generally speaking going to be the thickness of them and the size of them that you're going to go from calling them a chip to a nugget to a stick. Generally speaking, chips are going to be on the small side, usually between 4 and 7 millimeters, and they are usually off-cut. So the hole could be at one side of them, the hole could be in the middle, the hole could be at the other side of them when you're looking at them. So really when it comes to chips, it's a gamble. A lot of times too, they're going to require or take a smaller wire or a smaller thread to get through the chips because they do happen to have kind of an offset hole. When you're referring to them as a little bit longer, that's when they're usually referred to as sticks, or some people will say teeth, that they're going to be a little bit longer in that actual cut. When they are like this, again, it's somewhat of a gamble. Most of the time you're going to have an off center and an off kind of area that you have the actual hole of the bead going. But in this case here, it's mainly towards the top, and we call these sticks here at Potomac Beads. You then have your nuggets. So nuggets can come in all different sizes, all different shapes. And really, when you think nugget, think of something that's bigger than a chip. It's not a chip of a piece of rock that they're doing. This is going in, and sometimes they're rough, sometimes they're tumbled. And like this Malaysian jade one here, again, the hole is going to vary on where you actually see the hole and the hole size. Kind of going along that too, you'll have rondelles along that same shape, and these happen to be faceted rondelles. So the facet refers to the cut, and these are check faceted rondelles, and they are a 3 by 5 millimeter kind of swirled color. And then you also will have hishi beads. Hishi beads are going to basically be straight rondelles, which I actually helped somebody on chat the other night. Straight rondelles often are hishis that are going to be cut and faceted. So generally speaking, a hishi bead is going to be, hishi is going to be one that is literally taking a tube and kind of cutting right along the tube. That's going to get you that definition of that shape. The rondelle is going to be, I always say, kind of like a smush circle. If you take a rondelle and you kind of look at it nicely, it basically looks like you took a circle and kind of smushed in the sides. That pops out the middle a little bit with those edges still kind of rounded out. Again, all of these shapes can come in a huge variety of size and a huge variety of materials. Not only are you going to get rondelles in check glass and gemstones, you're also going to get them in metal and resin and other beads as well too. So keep in mind, this is kind of the definition for all of these different beads and all of these different bead shapes, not necessarily the materials that go along with them. You'll also see a fair amount kind of going back to those rounds or those rondelle shapes that some things will be referred to as graduated. So looking at the graduation here, and these are a dyed pink crazy lace. These are graduated rondelles. A lot of the times you will see graduated beads. They're going to go from smaller to bigger towards the center. Whether or not they're rondelles, like these smooth rondelles, or they're rounds, the graduation is what's going to matter. When you're looking and picking out graduation or graduated beads, you want to check out and see the different size that they start with and end with. Generally speaking, when referring to the size, it will say a 8 millimeter to a 20 millimeter. So it should reference you how much that graduation occurs. That can happen again across many different size beads going as you're working with it. More so you see it with gemstones and pearl strands than you see with check glass, but I have seen the check glass assembled in such as well that it will have kind of smaller to bigger. There's also going to be some classic shapes like cubes or squares. Sometimes these are corner cut, sometimes they're faceted. Corner cut means that they're on the points, and sometimes you also have diamonds or squares. So here's some gemstone diamonds just to show, and these are faceted diamond on the diamond. When they're straight and they're going through, that's when they're usually referred to as squared. Likewise, you have coin shape or discs. So usually with the check glass, we refer to them as discs. For some reason, in the gemstone world, they're usually referred to more as coin shaped, but they're going to be a flatter disc. Sometimes they're puffed like a cushion bead. So this is a checkmate cushion bead, and this is puffed in the middle, but it's basically a coin shape or a disc bead as you're looking at it. So they can be puffed, they can be flat on either side. Generally, coin or disc is the way that they're going to be referred to. Again, across different materials, across different brands, across different beads. Same, you can have some oval shape, and these here are some check puffed ovals, and these are actually a matte oval done with kind of an acid wash, not tumbled sort of a deal. And the ovals, when you're looking at them, again, can vary size and shape. Sometimes if the holes go through the opposite way, you may look at them called a lentil. Sometimes the discs also will be called lentils. So that variation and that terminology can kind of switch around. Sometimes they'll be called off-centered or long ovals when they're actually kind of turned to the side. But you can also check out that lentil name for more of that disc shape. Then there's rice shape, and this refers to something that, as you can guess, is kind of a shape of rice. This is going to be in pearls. This is going to be in check glass. Sometimes you'll see them in gemstones as well. But basically a little kind of rounded tube. That's going to be your rice shape of your bead. Lastly, I have on here just to confirm, so that way if you're looking at all of these new cabochons, these are check cabochons. Generally speaking, a cabochon is going to be a flat back bead that does not have a hole in it. So when you're looking at cabochons, keep in mind they are not going to have a hole in that flat back bead. You're going to need to attach them via glue, via seed bead bezeling, with some metal bezeling or some wire working. So if you see the word cabochon, that's going to be referred to as something that is flat on the back and does not have a hole. However, that being said, there are some two-holed cabochons, and they say two-holed in the check world in front of them. But generally speaking, a cabochon, whether or not it's oval, square, round, they're all going to be flat. I won't go into the standard cab sizes, but again, like many other things, they're going to be those even numbers. So you're going to get 18 millimeter, you're going to get 24 millimeter, or 25 as you get bigger, and some smaller sizes as well. There's also rectangles. Now, some rectangles in the check glass world will have patterns on them. Some of them will be plain. Gemstones, obviously, you do rectangles, you do squares, you do cubes. It depends on the shape of them, what they're going to be called. I brought these check ones out here to show that there's also the name chiclet, which sometime, or a table cut rectangle, or a rectangle will refer to that chiclet shape as well, which is going to be kind of that flatter rectangle. And this flatter rectangle has a pattern to it. This one here is table cut, which again, the table cut is basically literally grinding it on a wheel and taking that top layer off, making it table cut, which is going to make it appear a little bit differently in the check glass. Sometimes you'll even see kind of a version of table cut on gemstones. I actually really like that, when kind of the sides are not polished and the center is polished. Really beautiful when you see them. So there's all different shapes of beads laying right here in front of me, going from the rondelles to the heshies to the squares to the drops to the teeth to the nuggets to the briolets. And sometimes it really can be a mystery what you're getting. The best thing to do is look at the pictures that are provided by the websites, by the manufacturers, and look at them and make sure that they match up what you think and what you see and what you need. When looking at the pattern, many of them will have pattern guides that show kind of the little outline of the bead or exactly what you need. When in doubt for what you need, if you need something for a pattern, or you like the look of a design, or want to kind of emulate or have something in your mind, you can search through the multitude of products that we have online and see what we categorize them as, and see what we define them as. Generally speaking, we try to be most true to the actual manufacturer and use theirs if they refer to it as a straight drop or a center cut drop or just a drop. We try to refer to it as the way that the manufacturer does. Again, check out the pictures, go through all the different beading indexes, check out our different category pages for those different sizes as well. And also use this Better Beader episode as a chance to really expand what you use. So you may have never worked with the teeth or the daggers or the nuggets, and take those and really expand on that as well. Also, if you get a chance when we have them available, check out some of those gemstone grab bags or the metal grab bags or the actual kind of grab bags in general, our general grab bags. They give you different ideas with different shapes of beads to play around with that you may not have used before. Again, this was going over mainly one hole shape beads, and you can check out some of the previous Better Beaders for going over those different shapes, be it triangle or rectangle or a square, with some of those multi-hole beads as well. Again, this is a fun little Better Beader episode to get you more in the know. So when you're looking at patterns, instructions, or just designs, you can pick out and know what materials are used in those. As always, if you need any materials, you can shop with us online at PotomacBeads.com as well as PotomacBeads.eu. And we're so happy to ship inspiration to you. Keep in mind, if you want to, you can like this. You can comment below on some other shapes that you may have seen or what your favorite shape to work with is in those comments below near that subscribe button. Again, like and subscribe if you want to get regular updates from us when we go live, when we have new videos, new inspiration, and new videos to make you a better beader. As with all beading, have fun, happy beading, and until next time, enjoy checking out all the different shapes that we have to offer online.